This week, I'm driving the Mercedes EQE sedan, and I know my garage is a dark and dingy place, but that's why I wanted to start my tech check of this vehicle right here so that we can check out the lighting because it's pretty cool. My name is Jill Ciminillo, and this week's car du jour is the Mercedes EQE sedan, and let's get this review started with a little tech check. All right, well, you saw the lights come on the Mercedes EQE when I clicked the key fob. This is what you didn't see. There's a little pattern from the headlights that plays on the dark wall across from the vehicle as the headlights turn on. That looks really cool. All right, so now that we have shown you the lights coming on, again, we'll just do the little light check from the front. And I have no idea where that cool little pattern came from. And this is not one of those vehicles that has a lit Mercedes emblem here, but you do see the Mercedes puddle light here. And then when you come inside, you can see where the ambient lighting is outlined. So I just opened the door, and right now it is this nice bright white to help light up the interior. I mean, as if it really needs more help because the dome lights and everything are very bright. But you have some very strong ambient lighting in this vehicle. And I think it's one of those things that you either love or you hate. And I don't know. I mean, I kind of love it. And as you are no longer entering the vehicle, you will see it turned to my color of choice, which is pink. And when you come in, you get a little Mercedes pattern there. And to turn the vehicle on, it's right here. So what I really love about this is it's so well lit when you first get into the vehicle.
Test driver.
However, if you are one of those people who does not like ambient lighting, you can go into your settings, go into your ambient lighting, you can manage your settings. And as you see, it shows where the ambient lighting shows up in the vehicle. I've got it set on monochrome. You can change the color by just moving on the dial here. Oops. That, and by the way, that was one of the bad things with putting everything in the screen, because sometimes you just hit the wrong thing and then you've got to go all the way back into what you were doing. And that was just hitting something with my knuckle. Okay, so back into the ambient light, back into managing settings, and then you can, like I said, just kind of change it by moving your finger over this light bar. If you wanted to go to multicolor, there are some preset themes you could select, but I'm going to stick with my monochrome pink. And then you can go into brightness, and right now it's set to 9, but you could dial it all the way up to 20 if you wanted, and wow! I mean, I kind of feel like I'm living in a disco there. Okay, so I can see why somebody put that on 9. We'll dial that down. But again, if you didn't want any ambient lighting, you can turn it off. So let me tell you right off, this is an $85,000 car. And it's $95,000 as tested and $10,000 in options. I'll put this up to 10 on all those. But I think the ambient lighting might be an option. So you don't even have to buy it in the first place if you don't want it. So yeah, there's that. And then in terms of effects, you can get feedback from, operating, warning support, multicolor animation, that kind of stuff. So as you are, I'm turning up the heat, you can see the animation there. If I'm turning it down, it gets blue right there. So you also notice that you do have some different options here for your gauge cluster. I typically like just the classic, but you could put the full map back there. My husband was playing with the radio yesterday, and I had navigation set through here, and I couldn't see where we were going, so that was why I switched this to the map so that he could play with the radio. So we've seen what this looks like in the dark. We should probably go into the light a little bit. But before we leave my garage, one of the things I want to show you is the camera because of the darkness. And I feel like this camera is really bright and well lit and very well seen. And as you move your steering wheel, I like the lines that give you the trajectory. And this is especially important. I've started, so you can see the chute right there. I've started backing up into my space. And so that's really important as I am backing into my space to be able to see the trajectory lines of where I'm going, especially if my neighbor is parked in his space. You know, I have to be careful about cutting too tight to get into this space so I don't clip his car. So this is really helpful and very important in terms of being able to see. And you do have the button right here that you can press if you would like to turn on the camera when you're in park or drive. And then because I had it in reverse, when I put it in drive, the front view of the camera does show up. So let's go outside and we'll light things up a little bit and talk about some more tech. Now that we are outside, I figure we can take another quick look at the ambient lighting because you can still kind of see it shining through even though it is bright outside. It's just a little bit dim. You know, it's not as overpowering, obviously, as if the car were dark. So, you know, I do want to talk about the screeniness of this a bit because I don't know if you can see the fingerprints here. For somebody who's OCD, I think that would probably get really annoying. Plus, there's a lot of dust that just kind of shows up on the screens. And so I actually, when I had a friend in here, she was like, you know, you're going to have to, if you had a car like this, you'd have to carry a rag just to wipe down the screen every time you got into it. And I'm just like, yeah, I guess you probably would if stuff like that bothers you. It's not something that bothers me. However, the fingerprint thing can be taken care of because Mercedes has done an interesting thing. Rather than having like a touch controller or knob or dial over here, they've given you your controls for this screen right here. So this is obviously going to be your volume for your audio. But then this right here, you know, you can adjust and go through your different menus over here. And so depending on what you're on, you can go to the different items on here. And then, you know, again, just by moving your thumb over this, you can select different options in order to select something on here. So you never actually have to touch the screen. So that at least would take care of the fingerprints on this side of the screen. So we've already shown you that you can go through, you know, some different themes, but you can also change what appears in the center stack a little bit just by going through you know, just scrolling your finger over this. So you have some options in terms of how you can configure what this screen looks like. So I always appreciate options. I mean, they give you this very big screen and it always irks me when then you can't customize it. So I think that Mercedes has done a really nice job with all of their digital things and how the interactions work and how you know, you can customize it. Let's talk about these paddle shifters for a minute because that they're not paddle shifters in the way that you would normally think of them to like gear down or gear up. Instead, what they do is they set your recuperation. So I'll put the vehicle in drive and you will notice right here it says normal recuperation. So essentially this defaults to a more normal driving situation in terms of regenerative braking. But if you wanted a little bit more aggressive one pedal-esque driving, you just click the down pedal and you can see it goes to strong recuperation. And then what that translates to is nearly one pedal driving. And I was talking to my husband about it yesterday. I find it a little bit weird. I like the strong recuperation because it allows you to essentially just use the accelerator pedal to brake or to accelerate. So just by how much pressure you're putting on the accelerator pedal. But once you get below about 5 miles per hour, like the recuperation turns off. So then you have to switch over to the brake. So it's not a full one pedal driving system, but it's close. Now, while we are still sitting in the driver's seat, let's talk a little bit about your climate functions. So you do have dual automatic climate controls. You have the ability to move things up or down from here. You can, change your fan speed here. You can put it on auto. But if you want to dig into your climate a little bit more, you do have a separate screen for that pops up here and allows you to set like where the air is coming from. So you can dig a little deeper through this climate menu, but you do have the ability to change some of the things just from the screen right here. Okay, so speaking of your seats, let's talk a little bit about comfort, because yeah, you do have massaging seats, and then you've got some options in terms of what you're going to do with the massage. I tend to like, the mobilizing or the deep workout. Actually, let's go to deep workout. I like that one. And then you can really customize your seat adjustments as well by using this screen. Yeah, those fingerprints are getting kind of annoying. Now, while you have your basic controls on your door right here to move, like the thigh bolster, or to move your seat forward or backward, if you really want to dig into your seat adjustments, you're going to come into your comfort and then seat, and then you can dig into the lumbar support or your side bolsters, and the heat settings like automatic seat positioning. You know what? We'll try that in a minute, because I've done that in Genesis vehicles, and I'm not far from 9. I did not play with this yet. But I I've done this in Genesis vehicles, and I don't like the way it works. So we'll come back to this, and we'll play with this in a second. But again, you can really go through and customize your seat settings and your massage and all of that. Let's try the seat adjustment and see how that works. So this right here is what I would deem to be my appropriate driving position. I have just the brake over my wrist. I have more than 10 inches. I would say that's a solid 13 or 14 inches between my breastbone and the base of the steering wheel. I get a lot in social media that I am too close to the steering wheel, and I'm telling you, NHTSA says 10 inches is safe. So I'm not too close to the steering wheel. I'm not too close to the steering wheel. So typically when you're driving, you essentially want, a 90-degree angle here when you're at 9 and 3, and you want to be able to break your wrist over the top of the wheel like that. So this is how I would set the seat for me. So let's go back into our seat. So comfort, seat, and then as you automatic seat positioning. So I'm not 5'11". I am 4'11", and it has seat positioning for down to 4'9". So I think that's kind of interesting. It doesn't ask for my weight. It doesn't ask for my inseam. So if you remember, the Genesis vehicle asked for both of those things. And I'm just going to say start positioning. Okay, and so what it did is it lowered my seat a little bit. I still have, the brake in my wrist, or the 90-degree angle in my arm. And I mean, I do still have a little bit of a brake in my wrist, but I will say this feels a little bit further away than I would be comfortable with. But this isn't bad. I could drive like this. This didn't do a bad job. Way better than the Genesis. All right, before we move on to a few other things, I just wanted to show you the screen again. I literally just put in my height and hit start positioning. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the dual pane moonroof that we have going on and how you open it. So there's a lot of glossy black stuff here. Yeah, and this continues the glossy black. And in order to open the screen, you literally just move your finger like this. So there's no button to push or anything like that. And then it opens both screens at the same time. And if you would like to then open the roof itself, you just do another press and it will open the glass. And it only opens the front part of the glass. And let's see, does it go back any further? No. So that wasn't what I wanted to do. So that is as far back as it will go, but you do have a pretty nice opening there. We'll also point out, if you didn't see it before, you've got ambient lighting around here too. That's cool. Now, before we go and sit in the passenger seat and look at the passenger screen, I want to talk a little bit about what is going on in this area here. So you do have a wireless charger, and it's back here. And I find this to be a little bit of an awkward location, especially if you have water bottles. And while it didn't overheat my phone, it didn't necessarily cool my phone and charge my phone well. So I give this a sideways meh on chargeability and overall capability of this. It didn't make my phone a hot potato, didn't brick it, didn't shut down the system, with a 2.5 hour drive. But it didn't work that great. And I will say these cup holders are okay. So I typically, this is like what, a 20-ounce Yeti. I typically carry water bottles about this size. And I mean, they're not gonna fall out, but they may bobble around a little bit. So these cup holders are just okay, but German engineering, thank God they have an actual cup holder.
How may I help you?
You can't. No, thank you.
I'm sorry. My pleasure.
Yeah, okay. So you do have, I don't know what the keyword there was, German engineering? I don't know. Nope. So you can like open up your cup holder space a little bit by moving those, and then you just press down and then your cup holders come back. So low tech feature there. But like I said, these cup holders they're okay. All right, let's check out what's going on over here. Moving into the passenger seat, we'll just take a look at this screen. And the first thing I'm going to point out before I turn the screen on, it's just a screensaver, little stars moving towards you. I think that looks pretty cool. And then to turn the screen on, you just hit that button, and then you can use without profile or add a user. So we'll use it without a profile. And then you can see you essentially have the same controls here that you would have over here if you went into, these screens here. I'm glad my husband didn't see this, because that would have made it much easier for him to play around with the radio, and we don't agree on music at all. This hits one, that's my music. He's stuck in the 80s. You've got apps you can go into, so I can play my Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Tidal. You can watch YouTube videos. And people are like, well, why wouldn't you watch it through your screen? Or why would you need this because you have your phone? I don't know. The screen is bigger. I'm curious. Does anybody out there have a passenger screen? Do you use the passenger screen? How do you use the passenger screen? Or is this just wasted space? I don't know. I'm never the passenger. I'm always driving. So comment below. To move on to some other things, I'm going to hop back into the driver's seat. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you is I'm using the native system right now to just navigate to a park. And you can see, it's telling you your step-by-step direction here, and it has the blue line that shows you where to go there, and it tells you what percentage of charge you should have when you get there, as well as your arrival time. So I don't know, I think that's really cool. And one of the things that I noticed when I was driving on the highway is it would actually pop up with a little like a camera showing you specifically which lane to be in and where to turn. In an electric vehicle, I think that having the native navigation is probably pretty important, because of, unless you're really familiar with your vehicle and how much charge you actually have, because I really like that it will tell you how much charge you have when arriving at your destination. And in a lot of vehicles, a lot of electric vehicles, I found that to be very, very accurate. Gotta love the speed bumps in Chicago. And this does handle them very well, but I found with the really large speed bumps, I feel like they scrape a little bit. This is a very low vehicle.
In 700 feet at the traffic light, turn right onto Illinois 19.
See, there you go. That's what I wanted you to see right there. That camera is super cool. And it shows you where to turn. And I love it. It's like bleep, 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 bleep. You want to go this way?
Now turn right onto Illinois 19.
That's flipping cool.
Turn left.
I'm in a parking lot now, and I'm wondering if I can get the perpendicular parking assist feature to work. So we'll hit the parking button. So as we are driving through here, okay, the camera's still up. I'm going to hit parking assistance. It's finding all of these spots. So stop vehicle to park, depress brake pedal. And so if you click on the car image in here, it flips it forward, backward. So I've got it going into, I want to back into the spot. So I'm going to start the parking procedure. And then it put on my blinker, and now it's going to back me into the space. So it's doing a little bit. And there aren't any cars around me, so it's totally using the cameras to read the lane lines and perfectly center me in the spot. All right, now I want to try some parallel parking. Active parking assist finished. To exit the space with the active parking assist, tap here. Okay. Start unparking procedure. Shift to a forward gear. Press accelerator to continue driving. Okay. I'm like, I didn't like that. It was too slow. Okay. Yeah, I took control of that. But let's go see if we can find a parallel parking spot. Okay, so we are on a side street. It looks like there's plenty of parking on both sides of the street. So I'm going to hit the park assist button again, and I'm going to come in here and see what we find. And you know what? I think there's more spots on the left than the right. Here's a nice spot. Let's see if it'll detect this. Okay, so I'm going to hit that, start parking procedure, depress accelerator to continue driving. So put on my blinker. It's doing the steering. I'm ready to brake. Okay, so put it into drive to straighten me out. Active parking assist finished. Okay, so that was really good. It did it on the left side of the street, and then to exit the parking space with active parking. So we'll hit that. Start unparking procedure. So it's telling me to put it into reverse, which I did. And now it put on my blinker. It's backing me up. And it is. So literally what it does is it just kind of puts you at the angle to get out of your spot rather than actually, putting you fully out of the spot, if that makes sense. Okay, that works pretty well. I like that. All right, now I want to give you a few brief driving impressions. And since you've made it this far in the review, I would like to give you a funny story. But driving impressions first. I really like how this drives. It is smooth, it is comfortable, it is fast. It's got more than 400 horsepower, more than 600 pound-feet of torque. So the instantaneous acceleration is really nice. And I just generally find this to be a comfortable, luxurious vehicle. We'll have to have a separate conversation at a different time about these pillows, but I think they're removable. They're a little bit weird, but I like how this drives. And as I've been driving through Chicago, you may or may not have noticed there's a lot of speed bumps. There is a lot of potholes and bumpy roads, and this handles all of that fairly well. So and on the highway, this thing is a dream to drive. Very comfortable. I like the adaptive cruise control. It's very natural. And everything that this vehicle does, when it's in the semi-autonomous hands-on system driving, it drives like I would drive. So I like this car. I think it's comfortable. I have nothing bad to say about how it drives. Okay, now for the funny story. The 240 volt adapter was on the charging cord when I picked it up. And I got home, I have a 120 volt jack in my garage, and I wanted to plug it in to add a little charge. So I'm trying to get this adapter off, and I can't get it off. I can't get it off. I can't get it off. So I put the adapter portion between my knees, and I begin pulling on the cord. Well, it finally comes loose. And you may or may not have noticed, I have a black eye. I managed to hit myself in the face with the adapter when I pulled it out of the port. So maybe don't do that. Be a little more careful. Don't look down as you're trying to pull the adapter out. Yeah, as my husband would say, that's a DFU error. All right, I think that is what I have for you on this week's Tech Check, and it was a lot. It was a lot, and I feel like I only just scratched the surface because there's a lot here. However, I think we hit the highlights. We talked about the navigation. We talked about the parking situation, ambient lighting, the screens. It's a lot. It's a lot. But thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time with a new Car du Jour.